Finally, after a marathon of requests, we get to choose what games to review again. Ooh, I've got an idea. This always ends well. Considering the final 2 requests were both sequels, let's run with it and make the entire season of reviews of sequels. But there's so many other games I've been itching to. So it sounds like you're not up to the challenge. If it's not a 2, we can't review it until this season is over. And first up, I say we cover Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. There isn't a 2 in the title. It's a 2. I mean, not really. It's more of a... It's the second Monster Hunter. Technically, that's... Shut up, it's sequel season. Let me have my thing. I remember way back in high school, a friend of mine was desperately trying to get me into Monster Hunter with him. Aside from my total disinterest to the PSP library making the purchase of a new console for a single game absurd, it was the clunky controls that turned me off from the franchise. Ironic considering where I did actually start playing. I remember really liking the idea at the time of fighting huge vicious monsters as a frail human, but the awful feel of the awkward controls constantly at odds with the unfitting PSP in your hands overwhelmed the experience. The appropriate way to play this game was by clawing it, where your fingers had to constantly curl and try to hit all the buttons as well as use the analogs in a desperate attempt to have access to everything at once and develop immediate carpal tunnel. So my first impressions of this game were heinously dampened by the awful layout of the PSP buttons conflicting with the actual gameplay demanded by the player. Not that the PSP was bad or anything, but it sure wasn't the right fit for Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter on the PS2 played like an octopus on a pool table as well, so I'm not shocked that dumbfounding controls migrated with it to the PSP. An octopus on a pool table? Yeah, it was like a mess of limbs flying all around and hitting whatever, all around chaos. So this time, I actually can't replay this game for the video since Freedom Unite was only for the PSP, which my brother actually owned for some sports games. Weirdo. And since I heard so much about it, I bought a copy for him as a gift, which I occasionally played but never technically owned. Wait, so you can't even pretend to play it? We gotta do something or you're gonna look stupid! Here, take this. Or else I'll look stupid, huh? No, that's a PSP. Now play it. Jumping from PS2 to PSP, the gameplay is largely identical without the horrendous analog attack stick thing from the first game. Technically, Freedom Unite is a localized update to a sequel to an updated port of the first game to PSP. But with new areas, monsters, and story developed for it. Abandoning PS2 for PSP offered better opportunities for the game's heavy encouragement of multiplayer. It also gave them the opportunity to restructure the atrocious control scheme that felt as unwieldy as drawing calligraphy with your feet. However, Freedom Unite plays more like attempting open-heart surgery on a live mouse. Yeah, I feel that. I wouldn't call trading one problem for another an improvement, but at least there's loads of new monsters to fight. And a new food buff system where you can select meals to eat before quests to affect your skills and stats. You've also got access to new feline companions to assist you in solo battles. Regardless of how inept they are in practice, sometimes the best thing you need in a pinch is a distraction, as well as a tremendous amount of other small but much needed balancing and quality of life improvements. But them hitboxes still jank. Yeah, Tigrex can bite you with his armpit and then sideswipe you for half your health as long as you two share the same zip code. It really says a lot about the original game when they added countless features and updates and the sequel is still a complete mess. It's a PS2 port, what were you expecting? New monster designs! Oh yeah, here's how I feel about all of them. Small monsters. Because felines weren't irritating enough, we made these little gremlins to poison you and put you to sleep. Hey, what if we just made the hunters fight particle effects? We transplanted a Bullfango's brain inside an enraged caribou in heat. For science. Meat with legs. Because palette swaps save on dev time and effort. Ooh, it's a venomous amphither. Am I the only one who knows what an amphither is? Hermit crab who thinks you're so cute he could just pinch your legs off. And here's his Edward Scissorhands cosplay. You know it's a Japanese game when you battle a literal fart monster. Saber-tooth abominable snow baboon. Large monsters. This guy became King Shakalaka by lighting his hair on fire. Now that's metal. Slightly bigger bug that makes for some of the most boring hunts you can possibly fathom. We had to be racially inclusive, so we hired a white Velocidrome for HR. And we also got a Kutku with a hemoglobin disability for financing. Oh, and his cousin, the recently released convict, who just kind of shows up whenever he feels like it, makes the staff uncomfortable with his loudmouth temperament. Then of course there's Deborah, the diversity hire for customer service. Just because her skin's a different color doesn't make her any different than anybody else. Oh right, I forgot about Leonard. He showed up for training and we haven't seen him in years. I hear he was narcoleptic. Oh, that's Steven, who the boss accidentally called Stephanie during the interview because of all the pink, and he felt so bad he hired him to avoid coming off as a bigot. Oh, speaking of, here's his testy cousin Chris in accounting, who I'm scared to ask their gender since they always dress in this intimidatingly gaudy gold. Which brings me to Bill, who bickers with Steven whenever they pass by the water cooler, but I swear they're secretly sleeping together. The pissed off CEO who only shows up to collect his paycheck, yell at the union labor force, and hit on the secretary. And I'm kind of offended for Vladimir, the new cafeteria chef, considering he was only hired for being a red. And don't get me started on Antoine in security. Seriously, that guy used to be a Marine. Don't expect to see Joseph for much longer. He's just an intern for college credit, and you could bet your life powder the boss isn't dishing out the dough for a real job. Oh, and you better watch yourself around Jemima. Travis made the maple syrup joke last week, and he's still in the hospital. She's on 4 restraining orders and a never-ending premenstrual cycle. Is it clear that I'm not a fan of all the palette swap monsters yet? Cause I could keep this up all day! Tigersaurus Rex with the disposition of a 2-year-old on 10 shots of pixie sticks. And now he's a furry with knives on his arms. It's somebody's fetish. Tusked Turtle Man the size of a small country that bathes in literal lava. Change his face to a shovel and make his hitboxes even wider, and you've got this snowbound nightmare. You honestly thought for a second that there weren't any more of these meaningless palette swap monsters, didn't you? No, we're only halfway there! I'm struggling to comprehend how a fish the size of a school bus that swims through solid rock would even notice a puny human hitting it with a sword. Like his logic, his fight's kinda dumb. Angry hermit crab with a squirt gun. Anemic crab with a squirt gun. Kabutops. Shiny Kabutops. Dynamax Kabutops. A larger version of the most obnoxious small monster in the first game? Maybe the devs at Capcom are the real monsters. We couldn't get the unique bad breath status mechanic without passing on the obligatory fart jokes, could we? Top of the morning to this old fella cosplaying as an awful good wee leprechaun. Oh, the good jokes are getting mighty sour. Are we sucking diesel or is this poop monkey just acting a maggot? Somebody pissed in this polar bear's coke, cause this guy just went from 0 to absolutely apeshit. And this is his brown cousin. What? Shameless Dragon Ball ripoff with the most obnoxiously powerful punches and disproportionately galactic hitboxes in the entire series. And then somehow, contrary to the laws of nature, this rampaging Neanderthal found a way to surpass anger and reach new heights of carnal bloodlust. Majestic metal storm dragon that fights like an absolute sissy. And here's his brown cousin. Come on, man, give me a break and look at what I've got to work with here. Hey, look, a creative, unique new monster. I like this guy. It sure is a shame that he's so annoying to fight. Another glorified palette swap until 4 generations later where it'll finally get new attack variety. Until then, it's just an underwhelming model swap of this angry manticore thing with a hard-on for fiery explosions. Not sure how evolution favored such obscene overkill for this species' survival, but whatever. Because the Lao fight was so exciting the first time, we needed an excuse to grind it all over again. And all we did was make him black and white. If you ever wondered what would happen if you inflated an octopus with helium like a glove, then that's really weird. What's wrong with you? By the way, here's an alien air sac where his only weakness is cold air and thumbtacks. Though Fatalis is still amazing, it looks like the best way to turn cool, unique Elder Dragons into a grind is with meaningless color palette swaps. Unless Grandpa Static Beard has anything to say about it. Wow, that was a lot of monsters. Don't be stupid, most of them are palette swaps. Doesn't Rathalos look really good in blue? Your hunter is traveling along a snowy mountain where a fierce Tigrex pounces on them, causing them to tumble down a ravine, where they're nursed back to full fighting fervor by the residents of the snowy Pokey village in order to seek revenge on the tyrant on the cliffs above. You carelessly wandered into a wild carnivore's territory, and after it did what any wild animal will do, you didn't take your fortune as a lesson and move on with your life, but instead you decided to hunt it down and kill it? Well, yeah. And you call that a story? Hey, Tigrex is scary and we should totally kill it. Mother Goose tells more compelling plots than that. Monster bad scare. Bomb go kill hard. Hey, the music is at least a step up from last time, and last time the soundtrack was the best part of the game, which is not saying much. There's so many good monster exclusive themes like Nargacugas, Chameleoses, and Tigraxes that I never tire of listening to them as I hunt, and I certainly appreciate the variety. At least when grinding out that 18th Kushala Deora to get that one gem you can't find, it won't be the music that gets on your nerves. Yeah. Okay, so I know basically nobody is gonna go back and play this anymore with all the better modern options available nowadays. That's all we need to say. Why not just leave it at that? But look how much good it did for the series! Look how much content it added! 2 words. Carpal tunnel. Yeah, never mind. The positive gamer in me gives Monster Hunter Freedom Unite a burnt 4 out of 10, which is surprisingly lower than I gave the first game. Yes, it's got way more features and monsters, but that awful control scheme just keeps me from having any fun with it for more than 5 minutes a hospital visit. If I wanted old school jank, at least the original was funnier. The critical gamer in me, however, gives Monster Hunter Freedom Unite a well done 7 out of 10, which is substantially higher than I gave the first game. As a sequel, it admirably dove forward, overcoming many, yet not all, of the heinous sins of the original, albeit with a glorified port. But what do you think? Tell us how your positive and critical sides rate Monster Hunter Freedom Unite in the comments below. But if you're gonna try and convince me that changing a monster from red to blue counts as adding exciting new content, then you're just playing with yourself. Because that's half the game! Anybody want to bite of my PSP? Sequel season is on! What game sequels would you like to see for the rest of this season? It might influence my picks. And thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe for more, and use the links in the description to nominate your own episodes. And thank you to all of our Patreon members: Atomic Thomas, Cameron, Arrow, Rowan, Erica, Shiam, Minya, Sid, Squad Fam, and Crystal. See ya!